What's good? What's up, good people? Hmm. I'm a Mark Holmes talking about some what's good. What's up, good people? Just gonna let a couple people come in here and we're gonna discuss some of the things that happened yesterday. Y'all know how we do. Around the same time every day. We live. We live. We live. We live. It's been a real rough morning for me, guys. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Today was the first day. You know what I'm saying? Like when my uncle passed, it was spring break, so we kind of got the kids got an opportunity to get a whole week and all that type of stuff, and we had a whole week to try and figure out the schedule because my uncle used to pick them up, and today was the first day, or is the first day we got to really deal with it, and yeah, it's tough. I had a moment this morning. What's up, Yuka? Had a moment this morning, and I mean, grieving process ain't for the weak, y'all. What's up, Torres? It's not for the weak. So, shout out to the people out there that are grieving. You know what I'm saying? Go get help. I was working on some exercises this morning and stuff. So, yeah. As I told y'all, I'm going to try and do things the best way that I can. I've been going live every morning uh, up until the draft. And I think that I'm going to do a mock tomorrow or something like that. Thank you, Angie. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah. So Torres, I'm going to ask you a question. Um, Like, was it time, as far as, when you lost your father, was it time? Did you do work? Like, did you do work as far as going to therapy and stuff like that? Like, what was it about that grief process? Because I know it hits different too. And I'll even tell y'all this, like, I've even grieved people that are living, when your relationships go sour and stuff like that, and people that you really care about, or like a bad breakup or something like that. Like, I've grieved people living, and I that was always the hardest for me. In this case, I think this is gonna be harder because I actually saw everything. I saw the accident. I dealt with the aftermath, the ambulance, and all that stuff. So yeah, just wondering. As people line up in here, we are gonna talk draft, but I just had to tell y'all what type of a morning it was for me. It wasn't an easy one, and I'll share that with you guys because we're human. A lot of people, they deal with real life stuff, and I don't want me being a content creator to kind of take away from the human aspect. Like, I bleed, I cry, I sweat. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people, and this happens on Twitter a lot. People try and one up you just because you're a content creator, and they don't look at you as if you're a person. So it's sometimes it's about trolling. It's about trolling. It's about trolling. We're all human when we do this stuff. Uh, Angie said therapy helps. Definitely safe space to be vulnerable. Torres said be around good people, people that you love. Don't hold it in. Let it out. You free space. Um, you could say, damn, bro, salute to you for going through that and still going live. Yeah, man. Stir. All right, there we go. We good. We good. I'm gonna put it on do not disturb, or I'm gonna try to see if I can do that. Give me 1 second, y'all. There we go. All right, cool. We good. We good. We good. We good. Yeah, man. I hate when I hate when people call me. I'm going live, and that's my fault. I should have put it on do not disturb. What's up, JC? What's going on, man? What's going on? But yeah, I said I was gonna do it. Go live because this has been helping me. I started a journal the other day. I've been reading this book, this relentless book that Tuck referred. It's been good. I don't know why my phone is still ringing while it's do not disturb, but Yeah, what's up, AJ? How you doing, man? Appreciate you, appreciate you, appreciate you. All right, so we'll get into some of the rumors that's been going on. So apparently, there's been rumors at 12 that Tyler Booker came in for his visit, his top 30 visit, and we've been laughing because Lou and Ball's been pushing Booker, pushing Booker, pushing Booker, and we've been against it, we've been against it, we've been against it, and I felt like I was on a victory lap. I felt like I was on a victory lap because we hadn't brought him in or we hadn't shown the interest. And what do they do? Boom. Throw a curveball in everybody else's, like they just throw a curveball here. Now it could be a way for Dallas to throw everybody off to make them think that they're not gonna go weapon here. But I'm just gonna be honest with you. I said this last year. My bad. I got the coffee in the mug, man. Sometimes look, I know that I forget what color it is, lavender or whatever the hell it is. I don't care about that, bro. I don't care about what things look like, as long as they serve their purpose. But I feel like this might be the smoke screen. Appreciate you, Torres. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Got to get back to work. One love and see it through. Definitely appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you, and make sure you watch the playback. Make sure you watch the playback. Uh, I feel like it might be a smokescreen because Dallas has been leaked multiple times. So maybe they're gonna make people think that they're going O line here. But I'm gonna tell y'all, like I told Vach last year on his show, because last year I felt like they should go O line, and we double dipped at it. Similar to what Vach wanted to do, we double dipped at it, and I said that it would be negligent to not consider going O line first round pick last year, but I was like, we got to get us a running back in here. I even had gone to the point where I was just like, man, I don't trust that they won't. Shout out to Landlord, because Landlord said this about receiver last year. Same thing held true for receiver and running back last year. We didn't get them early, and you know what I'm saying. We got the runs, and hell, we didn't even address running back at all. We signed the old ass Ezekiel Elliott. We signed old. And I'm not saying that for what his role should have been. I think we could have used Zeke a little better, but we signed Zeke, for receiver with a deep wide receiver class. Ryan Flournoy. You know what I'm saying? Like and then we ended up trading for Mingo because that wasn't good enough. I'm gonna say it now. I don't care what it sounds like because it's gonna sound like, because I know what Lou's argument is. I know what Boss's argument is. And their thing is being physical. You don't have to draft line to be physical. You got to draft physical players to be physical. You don't have to be in the trenches to be physical. Hear me out when I say it again. You don't have to draft linemen to be physical, because you could draft soft ass linemen and not be physical. You could draft linemen like we've been doing, and you can still drop back and pass and be a soft ass team. Physical players make your team physical. Drafting in the trenches don't necessarily. You don't have to draft linemen to be considered physical. Draft physical people. And when I think about this and I keep going back to it and I keep feeling a certain way about it, what's more physical than having a running back that's physical? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've tried this line shit for too long, and I'm not gonna say we're not good at it. We weren't good enough when we had the window. We weren't good enough when we had the window. So why do we keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over? We keep trying to do the same things over and over and over and over. Let's say we do get Booker. Let's say we get Josh Simmons, which, oh, we got Tuck in here. We got Tuck in here. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad, bro. Yeah, hey, what's up, bro?
What's up, dog, man? What's up, bro? Sorry, I'm a little delayed, man. I'm scrambling, man. Y'all know I don't pack till last minute, so I haven't packed for Wisconsin or Green Bay, man. So I'm scrambling, you know what I'm saying, get everything ready for tomorrow. So what's up with y'all, man? What's going on, Cowboys Nation?
What's up? Hey, hold on. I was in the middle of a rant, but I'm a
Sure, do
complete
your
you on
thing,
this rant.
bro.
I,
I just
I
hit the link real quick.
yeah, I gotta shout out Angie for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. She said you already started the process, DMV. You're being transparent. I admire your strength to continue doing content. You're great at what you do. I support your stance on running backs matter. Always sending love and support your way, bro. Thank you, sis. Appreciate you. Y'all make sure y'all like that one. Y'all make sure y'all like that one. So this is what I was saying, right? I was saying you don't have to draft trenches to be physical. You know what I'm saying? Like that's been the stance. It's been, if you want to be physical, you go in the trenches. And I'm just like, so if we draft Quinshawn Judkins, we ain't gonna be physical. If we
Right.
draft one of these linebackers, Jahad Campbell, Schlesinger, like we ain't gonna be physical.
Mhm.
Like physical players make you physical.
Right. It's more of a mindset, right? I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss. So think about this. If I asked the Cowboys Nation right now, who would you say is more tough or more physical, Mozzie Smith or Brock Hoffman? A lot of people would probably say Brock Hoffman, who was a
Absolutely.
UDFA. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's about the cloth that you're cut from, not the round that you're actually drafted in, right? And there are a lot of people or players or prospects who have that tough, nasty, mean streak and they might not be day one guys. I mean, honestly, in most cases, the guys who get slighted, they keep
Yeah.
that chip on their shoulder and they play a little bit tougher. The Terrence Steeles, the Brock Hoffmans, the list goes on and on. So, I
Excellent
mean,
point.
hell, Cooper Beebe was a third round pick, and he's probably one of the nastiest
He might
of
be the
our
toughest
offensive
lineman
line.
we got.
Yeah,
One.
exactly. So, I don't think that you have to get an offensive lineman or go trenches in the first round, and that equals toughness. Now, from a talent perspective or athleticism, that might be the conversation piece. But even if you look at this draft and defensive side, defensive tackle, I don't think that's the case. An offensive line, you can still get physicality in later rounds as well.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I mean, if you look at a guy like I look at Ted and the way that he plays,
Hmm.
I think Ted is physical. I
Hmm.
think Luther Burden is physical. You know what I'm saying? Emeka Buka will block in the damn box. He's physical. Like,
Hmm.
we gotta stop this whole if you go away from the trenches, you ain't physical. Like, no, it's not true, bro. It's just
Right.
not true. It's
Yeah, I agree. And I think and Sky had talked about this. I know Vach had said it. Like, I feel like the trenches versus weapons, though it's been a fun conversation for the offseason draft season to kind of get us the draft fatigue. It's like I hate the Cowboys put us in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that we have to argue corner, wide receiver, running back, offensive line, defensive tackle at 12, it lets you know how many holes that we have to fill. And I think that, so to Boss, he was making a conversation like there's still Keenan Allen, but I'm not going into the season trusting our free agents in our front office, right? I feel like for me personally, if the job isn't done this week, then it just is what it is. And pretty much the roster that we have is the roster that we roll out. There might be a few little acquisitions that we might sprinkle in as we gear up for camp, but nothing too exciting that I kind of pin my head on. So, me personally, I feel like you have to hit in this draft and go get talent, right? Not worry about the position, not worry about this. It has to be the most talented player that can definitely help uplift this team. Because right now, we didn't do it in free agency.
hmm
Yeah, and
yeah,
JC mentioned like
absolutely.
Luke Kandra, right? Luke Kandra out of Cincy, like another tough, hard nosed guy that's probably going to be there available day three. So my guy Jack Nelson, who I talked about, offensive line and out of Wisconsin tackle, like he's probably going to be a fifth, sixth, seventh round guy, right? Tough as nails. So it's more about how you're built, not about the round that you drafted in.
Exactly, bro. And you brought up an excellent point. I'm glad you said it, bro. More of your and I think that we probably should have said it earlier. More of your tough folks who have to be tough because they don't have the talent, they don't
Hmm.
have the measurables. Those are your middle round guys. Those are your
Hmm.
late round guys. Those are your undrafted free agents. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So, I mean, when you look at tough teams, I think I seen somebody in the comment section say Philly. drafted, I think, defensive line 3 out of the last 4 years. But the
Mhm.
guys they got were tough. We're not
Right,
talking about a Jalen Carter here because I'm pretty
right.
sure if we had Jalen Carter sitting at 12, we wouldn't even hesitate even with the weapons on the board.
Right,
Not
right,
the
right,
same type
right.
of prospect.
Yeah, completely different scenario, right? We knew what Jordan Davis was coming out of Georgia, right? We knew
Exactly.
what Jalen Carter was. Like, I've always said this, Jalen Carter would have been my number one prospect on my board if not for the off-field stuff, right? So if you were saying, oh, we need to go move up and get Abdul Carter because we need tough, okay, cool. I'm with you there. Okay, cool. Let's
Exactly.
do it. You know what I'm saying? But we're talking about, a Tyler Booker possibly, or a Josh Simmons, or like some like that's not what Philly did, right? Philly, when they went and got Davis and Carter, you just knew those guys jumped off the film with toughness. When we saw it, right? We saw it on the film, national championship blood, Georgia, competitive. Like that was just built their whole entire temperament. And I will say this, right? Even if you're talking about what Philly did with that kind of toughness, that typical type of toughness we don't like in Dallas in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because those types of guys that bring that dog mentality or even that physicality, the Cowboys shy away from. I've been speaking this about Luther Burden, right? Luther Burden has a dog mentality at wide receiver. He could bring some toughness, some physicality, someone that's gonna, run through tacklers and give them that extra tone set, right? But we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? We don't want that. So it's like I don't know. I'm not sure if we're what we're fighting for. So, me personally, I know you mentioned the DMV, like with Quinshawn Judkins, like that is a tone setting back. That is a punishing back. Even though I know he's had a lot of carries, right? The physicality that he brings, the types of players that you have to tighten up your chin strap, that's toughness as well. You know what I'm saying? But you can also get those guys day two, day three, or whatnot.
Or your boy
Um,
Tyler Warren is toughness.
yeah, yeah, Tyler. I mean, yeah, I would take Tyler Warren, but I don't think they would do it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Tyler Warren, like it's built. It's just how these players are built. You see what I'm saying? And you can see it when you see a tough player. Like when you're going to the film, it just jumps off the film. You know what I'm saying? You just see it. Like when things get tight and it's really to turn up and go to the ultimate level, who doesn't shy away from it? Tyler Warren will be one of those guys where he's not afraid to go to Levi Stadium and play it versus San Fran. You see what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it just is what it is. He's played for Penn State. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, they played in the, you know what I'm saying, they played at Junkins played at Ohio State, Ole Miss. Like they're built for it. Like these games aren't big to them. They just played the national championship. So,
For
I would
sure.
take the mindset, the physicality, I would take all those different things into consideration when you want to talk about toughness.
Yeah, and I'll even ask you this, right? Because I've been seeing, and we've been seeing like the rumors of line at 12 and stuff like that. So if we go ahead and we bolster that line again, right? Like we
Mhm.
get a Josh Simmons or we get Booker at 12. What do you think we're gonna do when it comes down to what we have to do offensively?
Even if we go like a Josh Simmons, right? We go Josh Simmons at 12. I think that's more pass pro. I think it's more about pass pro and just protecting Dak's blind side, right? And so my rebuttal to those people would say going 12 or trenches at 12 equals toughness. Well, we drafted Tyler Guyton. That didn't equal toughness. You see what I'm saying?
We
So it's
double
like,
dipped. We got
right.
him and BB, and we
So
still
so so and
threw
I
the ball when we
asked
had Dak.
what has been the biggest attitude adjustments for the Dallas Cowboys? If I take Tyler Guyton, right, Tyler Smith, and Mozzie Smith, right, and compare that versus Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, and let's say Dez Bryant, right? Where did the toughness really came from? It came from over here. You see what I'm saying? It came from over here. Zeke was toughness, right? Physicality out the gate. Dez, we all know what Dez was. And even though City doesn't have that raw ability, it gave you some momentum. It gave you electric charge. And we saw the toughness really go on display this year with CeeDee Lamb battling with the injuries and being the sole only offensive weapon. So you can still get toughness from skill positions. I don't think that, it has to be trenches, right? I'm sure Denver got toughness from getting Patrick Surtain. You know what I'm saying? They got some toughness, right? Now, is it rah, fireworks? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not. But it's extremely tough knowing that I have a corner that can go down and lock up your number one wide receiver game in and game out. That is a symbol of toughness. So I think we just have this idea that it has to be trenches to be tough or physical. That's not the case.
And you want to know why?
Jalen Ramsey for the Jaguars, that was toughness, right?
Yeah,
It
for
changed their
sure.
entire mindset.
Yeah, and I think that it's the mindset that we've built. But here's the crazy thing, right? I hear it more from Cowboys fans than anybody else, right? Build up front and all that type of stuff. We've been doing that and we still soft.
Mm-hmm.
It
Right.
has more to do with your coaching and your culture and what is going on inside that building than
Mm-hmm.
it has any of the players that you get. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because you can get physical people. You done named all them physical people, and we didn't got thrown out the club multiple times with those people. So
Right.
until we really ready to change all that type of stuff, I mean, I do think that physical players do matter too, but your coaching has to match that as well.
Yeah,
And your
it has to match, right? And I was talking about this on Twitter, and we'll dive into it as we get into the off season. But you have to have an offensive line coach that breeds toughness. Like it has to be non-stop, right? It can't be a light, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a culture, right? And I always kind of compare it to like I don't know. I don't want to say dogs, but we all know like you can have a pit bull, right? But if you can have a like I have a pit bull, right? But the way my pit bull is she's up there sleeping on a, you know what I'm saying? She got her own bed, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
she's
yeah,
not that
yeah,
type of pit bull, even though she's a pit bull, versus my neighbor who leaves his pit outside all day, chained up in the back with a little army vest on. So it's how the mentality that you instill into these players is almost just as important, if not as their skill sets. You know what I'm saying? So,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so I look at this and I look at us getting Simmons, getting Tyler Smith. Like, I just don't see where just adding that one player and then like because what you would have to do is now you have to make a choice. Where do I want to be thinner at?
mhm,
Wide receiver or running back? Because honestly, not taking a wide receiver there, you're already kind of picking from the scraps in the second round.
mhm,
So
right,
putting that off a little bit more, like, and then you got a running back that's staring at you. Then you got to pick which one of them you want to go lesser at. And I don't think that makes us better. I think
mhm,
that makes us rebuild, in
mhm.
my opinion. I think if you go that route, we're gonna suck again, personally.
And I think that's the part that one Cowboys fans, but also the organization is afraid to admit. This is a soft rebuild, right? It is, right? You lose what 26 players, or we had 26 players in free agency. You lose a Jordan Lewis, who's one of the staples of defense. You lose to Marcus Lawrence, even though he's older, he was a guy that you can rely on. You lose a Zach Martin, right? So you lose a lot of these quality pieces. You have the injury of Overshown, who's going to be on pup. Probably won't see him till December. You're probably going to have Diggs on pup. Probably going to be 6 weeks out. So you lose a lot of key pieces, and the Cowboys didn't fully replenish, right? And I think that's my biggest concern. That what's the upgrade? Even talking about Eric Kendrick, you lose to Eric Kendricks, right? Did you really upgrade Eric Kendricks? And I just feel like a lot of these acquisitions that we did, I don't see the upgrade. I don't
Yeah,
see the upgrade where it's like, okay, yeah, we lost Jay Lou, but we brought in, you know, Kyer Elam. I don't want to say Kyer Elam's an upgrade over Jay Lou. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that's where my concern is. And I feel like honestly, if you take Rico and Javante Williams, is pretty much like a wash. Even though Javante Williams has the upside potential, but he had the injury, right? So it's like I don't see where the Cowboys have gotten drastically better than last year. Even if you want to
but that
say it from
schedule gonna get harder.
the schedule gets harder, and then what we're also not considering. I know a lot of Cowboys fans don't like to say this, but how can we say that Schottenheimer is a better coach in his first year ever coaching than a Super Bowl champion and Mike McCarthy or even with Dan Quinn? So it's like there's a lot of unknowns. And I feel like the only way the Cowboys could shortcut this and get back to contention to where we ultimately want to be is you have to just load up with real talent. But there's a lot of question marks. And I've been saying this with the $5 parlays is like, maybe Peyton Turner could hit, but if Peyton Turner craps out, who cares, right? Maybe Jack Sanborn could turn to next Brian Urlacher, right? But if he flops, it's not a big. There's no big gamble. There's no big gamble. Where it's like, okay, we know this guy's going to be instant impact, and we had to pay a little bit more, but we know we're going to get, right? We would have knew what we're getting in Cooper Cup. You see what I'm saying? We would have knew a few years ago what we're getting in Bobby Wagner. The Cowboys is kind of this hopeism where it's just like, I hope Kenneth Murray Jr. can turn up, but shit, we don't know. And what are you basing it off of, Tuck? Just hoping for the best, right? So I think that's the problem. Damn it,
Yeah,
Siri. You know what I'm saying? So
and Serino is a problem too. And it's just like
yeah.
if you look at us right now, what do we have on our team to where a team says, "Oh, with Dallas, we're gonna have to adapt our roster because they've done this."
Mhm.
I don't think we've done anything there, and I don't think our offensive lineman does that for our roster right now.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, again, we're just assuming that this offensive lineman is going to go in here, plug and play, and make an
Mhm.
impact. I got to
Yeah.
tell y'all something. Tyler Smith, he was solid his rookie year, but there was a lot of lapses. There was a lot of learning at that left
Mhm.
tackle.
Right.
I mean, in fact, we lost Dak for a couple weeks because of it, guys. So just plugging and playing there doesn't mean. I mean, hell, we learned that with Guyton. How many times we
And
got to keep learning the same damn
And
lesson?
see, that's the thing. Also, in fairness to all these young players, the Cowboys put them in shitty predicaments, right?
Yeah, for
So you
sure.
think about Tyler Smith; he was playing left guard entire camp, right? That's where he was training left guard.
Left
And then
guard.
you had the injuries that happened with Tyron. I forgot who the other guy was. It was somebody else, a left tackle, went
Was
down.
was it with Let's Go?
Yeah, I think it was with Let's
Let's
Go. I
Go.
think it was with Let's Go, right? And they're like, you know what? Shit, kid, go play left tackle. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well, all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? So like it put him in a bad situation. And even though I keep saying this last year about Tyler Guyton, he was a right tackle slash H, right? In his entire college career, no experience at left tackle. Well, you move on from Tyron Smith. You have Chima Yadoga who's injured, and you say, all right, kid, it's left tackle or bust for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that is a horrible situation to put a kid because what Tyler Guyton was, he was a second round prospect, but with the first round draft spot. But then also you slap the Dallas Cowboys helmet on top of that. It just magnified it where he wasn't going to be ready. And I was trying to preach that, and not just for Tyler Guyton, the same thing with Mozzie. It was going to be a work in progress, but you're bringing in second round talent, possible third round talent with first round Dallas Cowboys. We don't miss in the first round drafting offensive lineman expectations at a position he's never played in his life. That is a difficult task for a lot of people to be in. So if you're going to go left tackle in the draft, go get you a pure left tackle. You know what I'm saying? Don't
That
try to
part.
get cute and like, oh, well, he was a guard primarily, but like, no, 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 no. Go get you a left tackle. You know what I'm saying? A pure left tackle
Or
and
right guard. That's what I feel
or
like
right
about
guard,
right
or
guard.
right guard, or right guard. I'm more out on right guard at 12. Left tackle, I would I would probably just but I would understand it, right? Because I feel like if there's any concern when it comes to our offensive line, it should be the left tackle position.
Yeah.
Because remember this, y'all. Mike McCarthy was so out on Tyler Guyton, he benched Tyler Guyton when Dak wasn't even out there. You see what I'm saying? So even with the Cooper Rush and pretty much the season was going to go and just getting dismantled, Mike McCarthy still said, "Hell no, I can't." Right? And so that lets you know what Mike McCarthy possibly thought of Tyler Guyton. Then you saw what Duke kind of echo, right? So now it kind of brings some concern because we all know if anyone is protected in Dallas, it would be their first round pick in Tyler Guyton. Like Jerry would have raised hell to put him out there. Somebody would have raised hell for Tyler Guyton to be on the field. But the fact that he really got bitched for Austin Richards in meaningless games, it
Hey,
says, okay, what is their how are they really going to feel about this kid? Now, I think that he does have talent that's going to be, some upside potential, but if you're expecting me to say, okay, Tyler Guyton's for starting left tackle and we're good to go, I'd probably say,
oh, hey,
Dak,
hold
you
on,
better
bro.
run.
I gotta end this real fast. I'm gonna get back on. I'm gonna hit you
All right,
back.
bet, bro. I'm gonna jump too as well. I'll hit y'all up a little bit. Split y'all Cowboys Nation. All right.
All right.